So first we will discuss monarchy. But monarchy we have already seen a measure of it, how it works, everything, while discussing the philosophy of monarchy, the political system. That is the Vedic style, the original Vedic style of governance.
Okay.
So there are different types of government, of which monarchy is the most prominent style. Formerly, everywhere, all over the world, the monarchy was prevalent. Even up to date, some of the countries they are maintaining monarchy, but only for name actually. The monarch has no power. They said, the king is not good, dethrone him, kill him. And some rascals and fools in the name of democracy, they occupy the seat. What benefit will be there? The whole thing has to be changed. The prajas and the king. The advantage of democracy is there, but by vote, you can elect somebody as president. One has to follow the principle, monarch, one man on the head of the government. It may be a monarch or it may be a president, it doesn't matter. But there must be one chief executive officer on the head. That you cannot avoid. That is essential. Therefore, if we do not have an ideal president or ideal king on the head, and the prajas also, the citizens, they do not follow the varnashram, there cannot be any peace.
So both are required, an ideal head and varnashram in the citizens.
Yes.
Right.
So these two things are necessary.
Prabhuji, there was monarchy all over the world earlier, right? I mean, even till recent times, there were many monarchs.
Yes, but we are not talking of this kind of monarchy. The so-called monarchy was actually dictatorship. The monarchy, as it is conceived in the Vedic civilization, that is not this monarchy.
I see.
Just like we have got experience in the history, a monarch means get money and spend it for wine and woman. No, not that kind of monarch. Monarchy means the king, the ideal monarchy. Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit, they were very much advanced in spiritual knowledge, in administrative knowledge, in economic development. Everything, perfectly they were educated. And they were being guided by saintly persons like Vyasadhyahi. Maharaj Ramachandra was being guided by Vasishtha. So the kings were guided by a committee of saintly persons, big learned saintly persons, Brahmins. They would give advice to the king. He is already learned. Monarch means the king was properly trained up. It was monarchy, but the monarchy means the king was very highly spiritually advanced. The king was called Rajoshi, means the king at the same time saintly person. We have got another example in our country, Gandhi. When he was political leader, he was practically dictator. But because he was a man of very high moral character, people took him, accepted him as the dictator. So dictatorship is good, provided the dictator is highly qualified spiritually. That is the Vedic verdict. The battlefield of Kurukshetra was there because Lord Krishna wanted Rajarshi, Yudhishthir Maharaj should be on the head. So the king is supposed to be the representative of God. So he must be a godly person. Then it will be successful. That's alright. It was actually democracy. There was a committee of Brahmins. It was actually democracy.
Really?
Yes, democracy, there was a committee of Brahmins who guided the king. And the king was, control over the citizens by the guidance of the Brahmins. This was the system.
Well, Prabhuji, what is the difference between a dictatorship and a monarchy?
A dictatorship is the same as monarchy, but without a trained leader. Yes, formerly the kings, as I said, they were Raja. At the same time, great saintly persons, Rishi. They were not ordinary, this king, Nawab Shah, engaged in drinking and dancing. No, they were all Rishi, all Rishis, Up to Maharaj Parikshit, they were trained up in such a way. Although it was monarchy, one man's control, but that man is not ordinary man. They were called Naradev. Naradev means Bhagwan in the form of a human being. A king was worshipped therefore because they were Rajarshi. Imam Rajarshiyo Viduhu. Bhagwan says, Krishna says, unless the king, the government head, does not know what is the purpose of life, what is the purpose of this material world, then how can he rule nicely? It is not possible. He has no purpose. He does not know what is the aim of life. Just like they are thinking that eating and sleeping and sex life and then die. They are like animal life. That is not human life. Human life must know what is the aim of life. That they do not know. Nate vidum swartha gatim hi Vishnu durashaya ye bahirartha manina. These foolish people, they are trying to be happy. Durashaya. Durashaya means the hope will never be fulfilled. That is called Durashaya. Bahirartha manina. So this is the difference between a dictator and a monarchy.
Right.
So basically today we will primarily discuss about two styles of governance, monarchy and democracy. And the reason we will discuss these two styles is because Prabhupada discussed these two styles of governance.
Which one is better, Prabhuji?
Of course, so far the Vedic culture is concerned, they advocated monarchy because the one man's training, a good king guided by the Brahmanical culture, although it was autocracy sometimes, but because the king was very cultured, there was no possibility of doing any harm to the citizens. But democracy means simply they are given the post by votes and they may be all rascals. Then what they can think of good to the citizens? Now, because the people are not trained, they are practically asses. The votes of the asses, what has the meaning? If the majority are asses, then one ass will be elected. That's all. So, when the executive head is an ass, what benefit can he do to the people?
Right.
Actually, the perfection of government is monarchy, and the monarch should be an ideal Rajarshi. That is the India's Vedic system.
Right.
Monarchy is better than democracy because if the monarchy is very strong, the regulative principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. We don't very much like this so-called democracy. Monarchy under a trained up king like Maharaj Yudhishthir is by far the most superior form of government than the modern republics or government of the people by the people.
Right.
According to Vedic civilization, there was no such thing as democracy. It was monarchy. But the monarchy means the king was very highly spiritually advanced. The king was called Rajarshi, means the king at the same time saintly person. The king was known as Rajarshi. As I told you, Raja, Rajarshi, Raja, Rishi, Rajarshi. This is compound word. King supervising the administration of the state. Still, his character was just like Rishi, great sage. That was the qualification of the king. Therefore, also Vedic civilization, even up to Maharaj Parikshit, as I said, the government was monarchy. Now, the people have taken away the power. But according to Vedic civilization, this people's government is not sanctioned. Democracy is not sanctioned.
I see.
Yes. In contrast with the modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthir's is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than an animal man. Democracy we don't approve.
Right.
But monarchy, as it was approved by Vedic culture, the monarchy, if the king is first class, God conscious, a king should be like that. That is the ideal king. They are described in the Bhagavad Gita, Rajarshi, as I told you. Because the man on the head is perfectly, he'll manage. But if he is not perfect, then it is not possible. Therefore, the endeavor should be made. Either call it dictator or president or king, it doesn't matter. The man on the top of the executive must be a perfect man. So it is important to know that this support to monarchy is better in the sense that a person by saint to saint or by disciplic succession or hereditary succession, he can be trained And if one man is trained nicely, he can govern over hundreds and thousands of inhabitants very nicely.
Prabhuji, why is monarchy superior than democracy like?
Monarchy is better, as I said. Monarchy is better than democracy because if the monarchy is very strong, the regulative principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. Even 100 years ago, in the state of Kashmir in India, the king was so strong that if a thief were arrested in his kingdom and brought before him, the king would immediately chop off the hands of the thief. As a result of this severe punishment, there were practically no theft cases within the kingdom. Even if someone left something on the street, no one would touch it. The rule was that the things could be taken away only by the proprietor and that no one else would touch them. In the so-called democracy, wherever there is a theft case, the police come and take note of the case, but generally the thief is never caught, nor is there any punishment offered to him. As a result of incapable government, at the present moment, thieves, rogues, and cheaters are very prominent all over the world. So, as I said, therefore, this support to monarchy is better in the sense that a person by saint to saint or by disciplic succession or hereditary succession, and if one man is trained nicely, he can govern over hundreds and thousands of inhabitants very nicely.
Right. Prabhuji, well, if monarchy was so good, then why was it defeated in the course of time? Why did monarchy fell down?
Instead of becoming the servant and representative of God, the monarchs themselves became false proprietors and enjoyers. That was the cause. Then they fell down. Anyone who has got some power, he must know that this power is given by Krishna unto me and to execute his will, not my sense gratification. Otherwise, it will be burden and he will be finished. This is the law of God. Nobody can become the enjoyer. The only enjoyer is God. And if we want to falsely enjoy, then we will be in trouble. The same disease, up to the end, the same disease. God means enjoyer. So this disease can be cured only by surrender. That is the medicine. Therefore Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. The same thing. Bharah param patta kirita jushtam. A princely order, a king. He has been given the chance of ruling over a kingdom. But if he forgets his position, he actually becomes the proprietor, then this kingdom will be burdened. Just like it became so in the case of Ravan. And he was finished. Similarly, as soon as the king of the world became puffed up with their false power, the monarchy is now finished. All over the world. Otherwise, say 500 years ago, all over the world, there were kings, monarchical government. But they misused their power. They did not surrender. Therefore, their turban or crown became very burdensome and they had to give it up. Still, in some countries, the so-called king or queens are existing and they have no power. It is simply a show bottle. So they have lost their power. So we should be very careful, not become puffed up by a princely order. So I repeat, anyone who has got some power, he must know that this power is given by Krishna unto me and to execute his will, not my sense gratification. Otherwise, it will be burden and he will be finished. This is the law of God. Nobody can become the enjoyer. The only enjoyer is God. And if we want to enjoy falsely, then we will be in trouble. The king's duty is to act as the representative of Krishna or God. Otherwise, what right he have to take so much honor from the citizens? Monarchy was formerly present in every country, but because the kings rebelled against God and violated his laws, because they tried to usurp the power of God and did not act as his representatives, the monarchies of the world have nearly all disappeared. The kings thought that their kingdoms were their personal property. I have so much property, such a big kingdom. They thought, I am God and I am the Lord of all I survey. But that is not actually the fact. That fact is, everything belongs to God. Ishamasya sarvam. Therefore, the representative of God must be very obedient to God, and then his position will be legitimate. These rascals who are going against the law of God, they are rebellious. They are rebellious. The king's duty is to see as a representative of Krishna, as a representative of God. Otherwise, what right he has got to take so much honor from the citizens? He has no right. And because the kings, formerly every country, as I said, there were kings, monarchy, they violated, they rebelled against God. They became themselves God. That I got so much property, kingdom, I'm God, I'm the Lord of all I survey. So when they usurped the power of God, the all monarchies in the world is now finished because they did not act as representative of God. They thought their personal property, the kingdom. No, that is not actually fact. Fact is that everything belongs to God. Ishamasya sarvam. Dhruva Maharaj, as an ideal king, practically emptied his treasury by giving charity. A king is not meant simply to realize taxes from the citizens and accumulate wealth to spend in sense gratification. World monarchy has failed ever since kings began to satisfy their personal senses with the taxes accumulated from the citizens. Formerly, in practically all parts of the world, there were monarchies, but gradually, as monarchy declined from the ideal life of religion to godless life of self gratification, monarchies all over the world were abolished. So the king's duty is, as representative of Krishna, to make every citizen God conscious, as I said. Then he is doing nice duty. And because the monarchs did not do so, therefore now monarchy is abolished everywhere.
Right.
In Kali Yuga, monarchy is abolished because the kings themselves are subjected to the influence of Kali Yuga.
I see.
Yes. That's why monarchy fell down over the period of time.
I see. So, Prabhuji, if monarchy is now fell down, but if monarchy is the best thing, though, why not reinstate the monarchy now, today? Why can't we do that?
You see, Krishna wanted to wipe out all unwanted demons from the face of the world and enthrone Maharaj Yudhishthir because he is the exact representative of Krishna. So monarchy or dictatorship is welcome. Now the communists, they wanted dictatorship. That is welcome, provided that particular dictator is trained like Maharaj Yudhishthir. Yes, if the dictator executive officer is very nice, religious, then there is no need of this election. Monarchy shall be maintained provided the monarch is regularly trained up in the occupational duties of a king. So monarchy is good so long the king is as ideal as Bharat Maharaj, Rishabhadev, Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit, Lord Ramachandra. That is the perfect type of monarchy. Therefore, the support to monarchy, as I said, is better in the sense that a person by saint to saint or by disciplic succession or hereditary succession, he can be trained, and if one man is trained nicely, he can govern over hundreds and thousands of inhabitants very nicely. But at that time, one man was so advanced that his order was perfect. Actually, these kings like Maharaj Parikshit and others, they were consulting learned Brahmins. Not that they were actually autocrats. No. They used to consult how the government should be conducted.
They had a council of Brahmins, right?
Yes, the Brahmanas. They are not politicians, but they would give from Shastra direction. You are a king. You do like this.
Right. But Prabhuji, you did not answer my question. Why not implement monarchy today?
This is the age of Kali Yuga. In earlier, it was monarchy. But as I said, monarchy, as it was approved by the Vedic culture, the monarchy, if the king is first class, God conscious, a king should be like that. That is the ideal king. They are described in the Bhagavad Gita. Rajarshi. The king should be just like saintly person, although he is king. Rajarshi. Imam Rajarshiyo Viduhu. And just like Maharaj Yudhishthir, he was a Rajarshi. all the kings in those days, they were trained up in such a way that they were saintly persons, although they were king, not debauchee.
So,
But that is not possible at the present moment.
uh-huh.
Yes, that's why monarchy is not possible to be implemented in today's age.
Not possible.
Yes, not possible.
Then what system do you advocate?
Of course, as I said, so far Vedic culture is concerned, they advocate monarchy because the one man's training, a good king guided by the Brahminical culture, although it was autocracy sometimes, but because the king was very cultured, there was no possibility of doing any harm to the citizens. But democracy means simply they are given the post by votes and they may be all rascals. Then what they can think of good to the citizens?
So you think monarchy?
No, that is also not possible. And therefore, we are training people to be Krishna conscious. And when the Krishna conscious people will elect Krishna conscious leader, there will be peace and prosperity. And now, because the minority is Krishna conscious, they cannot elect Krishna conscious leader, and therefore havoc is being played. The committee, the majority decisions will be
That's democracy. That's democracy. That's not good.
democracy. This is the age of
I thought you said that we should have enlightened monarchy.
no. Monarchy is out of date now. Kali Yuga, everything should be managed by society. In Bhagavad also, yes,
Oh, democracy. In Kali Yuga, democracy.
yes, society, body.
That is not best. That is not best. Prabhupada mentioned that in the books, that this is not very good.
This is not very good in the sense, but at that time, one man was so advanced that his order was perfect. Actually, these kings, like Maharaj Parikshit and others, they were consulting learned Brahmins. Not that they were actually autocrat. No, they used to consult how government should be conducted.
Yes, you said. There was council of Brahmins.
Yes, council of Brahman. Yes, the Brahmins, they are not politicians, but they would give from Shastra direction. You are a king, you do like this.
Prabhuji, there were instances when the king wouldn't follow the Brahmins, so they were thrown out, weren't they?
Yes, there were such instances also. Just like Prithu Maharaj, his father was dethroned. I think the same thing was in England also, the knights. If they liked, they dethroned the king.
Prabhuji, then why did you say monarchy is better? And you say monarchy is better, then you say it is not possible, and then you say democracy is also not good. I don't get it.
Okay, take one by one. Firstly, I said there are many forms of ruling.
Okay?
Ideal monarchy is the best of all. Ideal monarchy is better than current form of democracy. But ideal monarchy means the monarch must be trained as a rishi, like King Yudhishthir or Lord Ramachandra. That's why one man's rule was ideal, because the king was ideal, a rishi, a rajarshi. But in Kali Yuga, by the influence of the age, an ideal monarchy is not possible. And if the king or the leader is not ideal, how can there be monarchy? So, if ideal monarchy is not possible to implement, then the next option is the rule of committee or a democracy. But the current form of democracy as practiced in the world is also not good. It needs to be modified.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now I get it. So, as I understand, in its ideal form, monarchy is better. But in Kali Yuga, since an ideal monarchy is not possible, so democracy, but it needs to be modified.
Right.
Uh-huh.
The thieves and rogues, like many notorious ministers of the state of modern democracy, seek election by malrepresentation of votes. And the successful rogues and thieves, like the wolf, devour the existence of the mass of people like the scattered lambs. One trained up monarch is better than hundreds of useless ministerial rogues. And it is hinted in Bhagavatam that by abolition of monarchical regime like that of Maharaj Parikshit, the mass of people becomes open to so many attacks of age of Kali, and they are never happy in such much advertised form of democracy. According to Vedic civilization, this people's government is not sanctioned. Democracy is not sanctioned. But in the Kali Yuga, nobody will be a standard king. Anybody by hook and crook, if he captures the royal throne, he becomes king. That is predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Interesting. Is democracy mentioned in Bhagavatam?
Yes, in the scriptures it is mentioned. Democracy is also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That in the Kali Yuga there will be no more monarchy or the kingdom ruled by Kshatriyas. But amongst the people who will be tricky, somewhere or other, get the votes of the people, he will be seated on the throne. That is stated.
Interesting.
So, power or no power, in Kali Yuga, the administration will be done by less qualified. No qualification. Kim Kshatrabandhu Kalina Upasrishthan. The system will be disturbed on account of this Kali Yuga. Kalina Upasrishthan Rashtrani. Rashtrani means states. Tair Avaropitani. Put in disorder.
I see.
Yes, so everything is there in the scriptures. It is predicted.
So then democracy, right?
Yes. However, simply abolishing monarchy and replacing it with democracy is not sufficient unless the government men are religious and follow the footsteps of great religious personalities.
I see.
Yes. Also, we have no Chaturvarna system. Chaturvarna maya srishtam gunakaram bhagasha. You have given up Krishna's instruction. Now you have to suffer. You do not train Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So anyone who is in power, he is good. That is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means anyone gets vote, he is in power. They can misuse the power. There is no Kshatriya.
I think it is a wrong system. This open democracy is not by consensus.
No. Now either democracy or monarchy, the population is Shudra. So either you make it democracy or any crazy, Shudra will be on the power. So they can.
In Kali Yuga, Prabhuji, the Shudras will rule according to the.
Everyone is Shudra. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Who is going to become Brahman? We are inviting everyone. Come here, become Brahman. Who is interested? He will go to the factory. Instead of becoming Brahman, he will become a hammerman. In America, no students are coming to the philosophical class or higher mathematics class. They don't want to.
Right. So, Prabhuji, we can discuss democracy then?
Yes.
Ram